Hello. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for hitting that play button for another episode of the Hetty Coleman podcast, where I sit down with fabulous people to have go-in conversations. Go-in is being consistent and doing the right things that allow you to achieve the wins that you've defined for your life so that you can live out your greatest story. And ladies and gentlemen, this man has probably been on my podcast the most out of anyone else, and he goes by the name of Derrick Sier. What up, man?
Here we go. I'm gonna challenge you on your own podcast right now, folks. This is live. It is not rehearsed. It is not scripted. I want you to do that intro one more time.
What?
because as many as I've heard, it sounds the same, and so I don't know if you have like something that you do every single time, but like right before we went play, like he hit play, he was like, okay. And then he just jumped into it, and it sounds the same every single time.
Yeah.
Except for normally you say ladies and gentlemen 3 times. But you do it like this. You were like, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen. So let's see if we can do it one more time. Go ahead.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen.
See, I'm in his head now.
Hit that play button for another episode of the Hetty Coleman podcast, where I sit down with fabulous people to have go-in conversations. Go-in is being consistent and doing the right things that allow for you to achieve the wins that you've defined for your life. And today, ladies and gentlemen, today I sit down with the one and only Derrick Sier.
I feel like I've heard that enough.
Was that about the same?
I feel like it's the same. I mean, you added the ladies and gentlemen earlier than you did on the other one, but it's just because I was in your head, though. Yeah. It's that hello. Thank you so much for clicking that play button.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes, that's it. Yeah. That's it.
Thank you for hitting that play button for another episode of the Hetty Coleman podcast.
I love that.
Yeah, I've been working on it for a little while.
It's consistency.
Yeah.
It's one of those right things that you do over and over.
Right things, and the reason I do that, the win is that it's in their heads.
Yeah, it's in my head.
Yeah.
Hello.
And then people see you like, hey, hello. That kind of thing, you know what I'm saying? It's kind of like go win. Like, people see me, they try to beat me to saying,
go
win. Yeah. So,
like when you hang up the phone, I always try to beat him. Like, go in.
Yeah, go in. Yeah, but no.
No, he's like, that's my thing. That's my thing. It's absolutely my thing.
What's going on with you these days, man? Wait, first of all, talk about Jump. What in the world?
Well,
the last times I've seen you,
yes,
you've had on the black T-shirt that says Jump.
Yeah, so I think that I actually made the move before you did. 2018, I started cleaning out my closet, and you took it to a whole nother level. Like, I was just like, I'm tired of thinking about stuff to wear, and he was like, I'm getting rid of all of my clothes. And I was like, whoa, wait a minute. And so I did something similar, even though I had to keep a few items, because my wife, she was like, you don't have a date shirt. You don't have a wedding shirt. You don't have a formal shirt. You don't have all you have are these black shirts and these jeans. And I'm like, I kept a few. But I promise you all, literally on the way up to the studio, you see a rack. The same rack of black shirts he's not lying. Like, he's not posing for social media. It's the same rack. I saw the rack. I was like, see, I love that. Now, if they had like some white and red on there, I was gonna call you out. But it's all black. Respect for consistency. So, 2018.
I do have a red hoodie and a red go-in T-shirt, like a red go-in and a red.
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about if you had more, like on the rack. If you had like a Hawaiian shirt that was like blue, green, yellow, I'd be like, hey, do you fake?
Yeah, no.
Right, but the rack, which y'all see, is what's downstairs.
Yeah.
So 2018, I decided I'm gonna get rid of a lot of stuff. I started trimming down not my body, my wardrobe. 2019 comes. I'm just full-fledged jeans, black shirts. Last year, I was so much more streamlined than that. 2021, I was on a retreat, and the word jump came to mind, and so I got a dozen of these shirts printed, and these are the only things that I wear now, unless I'm contracting with an organization, and then they asked me to wear their product. But jump for me is my word for 2021, and I think a lot of people are, they're being encouraged to take small steps, and I think that I've taken small steps over time for so long that now it's time to jump. I don't know if you could, if any of you ever have a reference of a toddler that stands They go from crawling to pulling up on furniture. Well, from pulling up on furniture to jumping off of stuff, there's this really small time frame. It's like for 8-9 months, they're rolling over and they're crawling. But I promise you, from the time they stand to the time they jumping off furniture, like that time comes really, really fast. And for me, it was time for me to start jumping. And so 2021, my word is jump. I want to jump into some really cool habits, some really cool things that are going to challenge me, and out of some old habits that are kind of keeping me back. So just jump.
Can you talk about something that so far you've either jumped into or jumped out of?
Yeah. So I create these lists. I was not a list person before I met Hetty. And we'll probably talk about that a little bit later. But one of the things that I wanted to do was create a family list. And so I have a family list that I make quarterly. So I'm finishing up March now, and I have to make April, May, and June. But I wanted to push my family, like us, jump together into some really cool things. And so Tequia always wants us to commemorate each year.
Tequia, your wife?
Tequia is my wife, sorry. Yeah, she wants us to commemorate these years of growth. And so Family Pictures was one that we did in January. That's a big jump. Normally we wait till later in the year. In fact, I'm always like forgetting, and I'm texting his wife, and I'm like, Bernie, can you do family photos for us? So now I try to be a little bit more proactive, and we got those done in January. In February, I wanted to make sure that we got a couple spa date on the calendar. That I celebrated Valentine's Day. We did that as a family. We didn't get the spa date. I got to push that to April because we had like some snow and stuff. What else? Oh, I wanted to make sure that that Nia and Ethan got like hobby stuff. So Ethan's interested in like sawing and cutting and drilling. So we got him drill saw. Yeah, they call these like these horseshoe axles where you can like lay stuff on them, but they fold up. Family vacation in March. We just came back from Corpus Christi, which was really cool.
Was this your first time going there?
No, that was my second time as the family. Tequia and I went, and then I've gone on my own. And so all of us together for the first time. But all that said to say, just kind of jumping into some really cool things that my family wanted to do instead of like crawling and like, we'll do it eventually, kind of putting them down on this list and just jumping into those things. So those are some things that, just immediately I can think of. My wardrobe is another one. Making big decisions as far as business is concerned. Charging more. Narrowing down my clientele. Just kind of some big things that I would have never done. Just kind of jumping in those areas.
And so the word came about, and then the T-shirts came because of what? How did the T-shirts come about? Because I thought that was a cool story.
So I was trying to think, what could I have visibly in front of my face all the time? Because people write on mirrors and they have sticky notes and post-it notes and affirmations and things like that. I was like, bro, I want to wear it on my chest. Like everywhere that I go, when I walk into a store, I see it on my reflection. In my review mirror, I see it. When people see me and they're like, oh, jump, they're literally saying it to me. When I get dressed, it's just always on me in my face. And so I was like, what other way could I get it outside of tattooing it on my body? What other way could I just get it on me? Yeah. And so that's where the T-shirts came in.
But did Tequia get them for you?
No, she didn't.
Oh, okay. I thought Tequia got them for you.
Oh, no, she got me the big letters in my office.
The big letters?
Yeah. Okay, she got me like these 12-inch letters, and it's like JUMP.
Okay.
So she got those
for some reason I thought it was a T. Okay, she got the letters. Okay, gotcha. It's cool either way.
I agree.
So one of the things that you're super passionate about, y'all just finished up an event called Man Up.
Yeah.
Talk to me about mentorship and when you talk about it, I know you definitely are investing in people. Like you love to mentor high school age,
specifically, yes,
specifically. But just talk about mentorship in that side of things, and then how do you keep that on as far as your personal growth and what that looks like? Right.
So, and I'll phrase it a little bit better. Like, how can I mentor and then be mentored? Yeah. So mentoring for me is something that my dad just kind of did naturally. I had men in my life growing up who just poured into me naturally. And the older I got, I realized how rare that was. And so that has become my passion and my focus as far as how do I get information? How do I expose young men to other opportunities, to other career fields, to other professionals that are doing what they want to do? How can I expose them to fathers and husbands and big brothers and these people that are doing things that they want to do? And so mentor to me is so important. And I think there's several different ways that you can mentor. You can have relationship-based mentoring, which means that I just get to know you on a personal level. You can have interest-based mentoring, which is where I find out your interest, and then I partner you with somebody that has a similar interest, and you connect through that. It can be community-based mentoring, which means we mentor in bulk, in groups. It could be faith-based, which is through church, right? So there's all these ways to mentor kids, and I think the most important part is not only do you show up and see a kid, but you do it consistently. Right. One of the number one rules for mentoring is show up. The second rule is keep showing up. The third rule is when you want to quit, show up again. Right. That's the most consistent thing you can do about mentoring is show up. And so that's the easy part. The hard part is 2 and 3. And so I love mentoring. As far as my personal growth and being mentored, just constantly finding people that are experts or that they know something that I need to know. And so I have several different mentors in a lot of different areas. I have certain people who mentor me in multiple areas. You, for example, like you're my brother and you're my friend, but you're also somebody that has a lot of spiritual wisdom, business acumen. You're an entrepreneur. You are fearless when it comes to ideas. Like Hedy will be like, "So what if it don't work?" And I'm like, "You're like, so let's just try it."
What
so
happens if it doesn't? You know what I'm saying? You got a great story that you tried.
Exactly.
Right?
And so Hedy like wears multiple hats. But I have pastor mentors. I have father figures. I have other mentors who mentor me. Waylon Cubitt is a mentor of mine. Mark Hollingsworth is a mentor of mine. I just have all these guys around me. And so not only is it important for mentors to mentor, but it's also important for them to be mentored. That way you can keep track on your personal growth in the same way that you're helping other people grow as well.
Yeah. And we'll jump into personal growth a little bit later. But whenever you think about your schedule and how you manage mentoring on both sides of things, right? Is that something like you look at your calendar over the quarter, or do you do it annually? Do you plug those into on both sides? What does that look like? Is that monthly? Is that quarterly? And I'm sure that it's different times for each. What does that look like?
Yeah, so I immediately think of 3 areas, right? I think of organizationally, which is programming. Then I think of me being mentored, and then me mentoring others. Programming, I can take a calendar, an annual perspective, right? And so we have Class Matters, which is STEM-based mentoring, Portrait and Chill, which is literacy and arts-based mentoring. We have Law Enforcement Through Fact, that's law enforcement mentoring. We have all these things, so I can project that out. As a program coordinator with the Oklahoma City Police Department and OKC Respond, I can look at a calendar and I can plug those things in. That's organizationally. That's programming. For me, I meet with those guys probably quarterly. Like my guys that mentor me once every 3 or 4 months, if that's a singular relationship, like the mentor-coach relationship, I meet with them a little less frequently, but on a quarterly average. But when I'm mentoring, that's weekly. Yeah. And that changes like with the wind. Because sometimes these young men, their situations pop up where they need you more in one season than they do in another. And I think that is where, as a mentor, if you're thinking about becoming a mentor, that's where a calendar helps. That's where personal boundaries, firm boundaries help. You're not a savior. You're not coming in to save the day. Nothing that you do on one occasion is going to impact a lifetime. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think oftentimes we get caught up in this concept of, I don't do it, then nobody will. And if I don't do it, they're going to fail. And their life is in my hands. And that's a horrible perspective for a mentor to have, right? You're not a father. You're not a big brother. The mentor hat is very specific. The coach hat is very specific, right? These things have to be separated so people know how to interact with these people in those areas. So programming wise, I can do a calendar. I can do a year. I can project out 2 years. My mentors, like people who mentor me, I check in with them a little less frequently than I do with people that I mentor. Yeah. And I think it's just because I'm at that level where Hedy can tell me, all right, man, like what are the 5 right things you need to do over the next 3 months? And then as an adult, I go and I carry those things out. Hedy didn't have to check in on me every week. Yeah. But for the young men that I'm mentoring, they require a little bit more touches.
Got you. That's good. That's good. Now, talking about mentoring, one of the things you also do is go out and public speak, which I feel like there's some mentoring even in that when you show up and you're spending time with people from a keynote perspective or whatever that may look like, right? Especially if you have an ongoing relationship with different organizations or corporations or whatever. And it's oftentimes, I think, too, we take our learnings from our mentors in life and then we go and capture that. You know what I'm saying?
Definitely.
We make that into our talks. You recently have said, hey, I'm going to be intentional about reaching a specific type of organization, which are HBCUs, historically black colleges and universities, and begin to spend time with these students. And talk to me about what that's looked like and when did you start that? What does it look like now? And how long ago? Just tell me the story.
Yeah, so, man, I don't want to go back too far, but I'll go back to 1999. Take y'all back just a little bit. Not too far, but 99, right? I show up, Salvation Army Boys and Girls Club for a summer gig, and I was one of the first ones there. They're like, hey, man, you want to learn this stuff so we can teach you how to teach others? And I was like, yeah, I love that. And so I ended up becoming a shift supervisor where I was training other counselors. From there, I went on to work at this little dance club on campus in college, and I was training people there. From there, I went to UCO, and I was one of the first people there in 2004 when I went back to school, and I became a supervisor there. And then from there, I served as an officer on a KHS club, which is kinesiology and health science. And then from there, I was at Chesapeake Energy, where I ran the recreation coordinator position, where I was also training people. And then from there, I started my own company. Well, when I started my own company, by that time, I had been doing this thing for 12, 13, 14 years. And so now I'm like, I got an interest in doing things like this where I can stand up, I can take these concepts, present them to people, and hopefully do it in a fun way. Well, Hetty heard of, put me in this big room and helped me launch my company. We went up there. We was up there for 4 or 5 hours. We shut the door. We got blocks and Post-it notes,
boxes,
cereal, everything all over the wall. And I came out with this big vision of Omar's team building. And not only did he help me launch that company, but he equipped me with relationships as well. And so he invited 6 or 7 people to the great city of Guthrie, America. And we sat down in Hoboken Coffee. And
how long ago was that?
That was it's coming up on 8 years.
Wow. So Hoboken had just opened around that time.
It was brand new.
Yeah.
It was brand new. We sat down in there, and I sat down at one table for about 2 hours. And one person would get up and another person would come. One person would get up, another person would come. Okay, all this had to say, one of the guys that I partner with now was at that meeting, right? And so a few months ago, Jared Murr with Paradigm Shift, really good guy, really good company. They travel the world, travel the country, delivering these leadership skills, equipping middle school, high school, and college students how to get from one level to the next, using leadership as the avenue. I'm working with Jared, and I'm like, Jared, man, I'm from North Tulsa, man. I'm from North Tulsa. That's all I got to say. And I got this black skin, and I got these black friends, and I relate well to this certain demographic. But I feel like those people are not getting what we're delivering. We're going to predominantly white institutions. We're going to all these different places. But I feel like I want to make sure that young boys and girls that look like me, that wear my skin, get the same opportunities and the same information as well. And Jared was like, yeah, let's do it. And so Jared Murr and Paradigm Shift and I partnered together to create something called PSME, which is Minority Empowerment. And the focus is on black and brown students, making sure they get the leadership, skills, and tools that we're equipping them at HBCUs and PBIs to go out and lead just like their counterparts, just like their peers, just like anybody else that wants to get from one level to the next.
Why didn't you just do this on your own?
Yeah, I think a lot of the things that Paradigm Shift that they currently have, that they already have, I would have had to develop those skills or make those relationships in order to do it at that level. Right. I think this is a good moment to pause and tell people that you don't necessarily have to become good in the areas where you're bad. You can find people that are good in those areas. Can I say that a different way that makes it make more sense? I don't know. If I'm not good at accounting, I can spend time becoming good with numbers, or I can partner with somebody who's already good at it. Yeah. If I launched this thing on my own, I would have had to build all these relationships, hire all these people. And Jared and Paradigm Shift, they were going to consider that. They were like, man, listen, we can help you launch this thing. We just want to see the work get done. But we kind of already have the infrastructure set up in place. Just come over here. I was like, bet, you telling me I ain't got to create PowerPoints, I ain't got to send out emails, I don't have to do marketing, advertising, social media management, I don't have to send out invoices and manage books, I don't have to, he was like, nope, create content, be our face and our connection to a demographic that we currently don't already have a relationship with. Come and we will bring the best of each other together so that we can reach this population.
Yeah.
And I thought that was a match made, man.
You know, the reason I asked you that is because I think there's so many people out there that have this desire to be an entrepreneur or have this passion to do something, and they're having real challenges. And I think some of the challenges, like they're not equipped to do X, Y, Z, whatever that may be. And all they need is a partnership. Mm-hmm. So versus really looking for the next customer and having challenges finding enough customers, I think sometimes we probably just should look for a great partnership.
Yeah.
And then move forward in whatever that is, because I just think partnerships can make a big difference. I wrote a blog post the other day because originally they came out that Kanye West, $6.6 billion, like he was worth $6.6 billion. Mm-hmm. And there's been some people who dispute that or whatever the case may be. Regardless, Kanye's making more money than me.
And combined. Us together.
He's making a lot of money. But a big part of this is his partnerships. Mm-hmm. Originally, he did a partnership with Adidas. I mean, Nike. Then he makes his partnership with Adidas. Mm-hmm. Then he makes his partnership with Gap. Mm-hmm. If I look at all these other people who are doing all these different types of partnerships, and sometimes we see these people and they're bigger than life to us. But I think even the everyday people, if we did some partnerships to really move forward in things that really make our hearts happy and dream, man, I just think it would be so awesome. So I really kudos to you for the willingness to go and make that partnership happen. Yeah. And kudos to Jared and Paradigm Shift and all the great work that they're doing and their willingness to say, hey, come take our resources and let's go make this thing happen. And your first event is when? Like, go ahead and say what you're saying, and then.
Yeah. I'll say this. I'll say this too about Hetty. I want to make sure that I throw you your flowers, your roses, man, while I can. But Hetty's always been the guy that I've heard him say this so many times. I don't care who gets credit. I just want to get done.
Yeah.
I'm getting emotional thinking about that, man. I really am, because. Even in one of the longest to-date poetry night and open live mic events that has happened in Oklahoma City is by a guy, and people don't even know him. Like, people have come up to this dude and talk about his event, not knowing that he put the event on. He was like, it was pretty cool, huh? Like, he's just like, yeah, like, I know what you're talking about. And very rarely will you hear him say, like, that was mine or I did that. And if he does, it's only in reference to a bigger vision or a bigger goal. So I think if we can, and I say that because I think that's a lot of reasons. That's a major reason why a lot of partnerships don't happen, because people want their name attached to it, or they feel like it needs to happen a very specific way. And I think if we can find a way to take the greater overlapping pieces and put that together and take those little divisive things away, then we could do so much more together than we could isolate or separate.
For sure, man. So with all that, mentoring, investing in other people, HBCU, partnership with, then there's the family piece, right?
It is.
And I get to watch your story. I know your family. We hang out. Mm-hmm. Talk to me about that, because that's very important, and it's not easy when you have a heart to do the things that we do,
it's
right?
Not.
Like, our families get, thank God for great wives.
Oh, my goodness.
And willing to support our craziness, right? And so, but just talk to me about the coolness of your family.
Yeah. So, man, I put this on social media the other day, like having a partner, a spouse, a wife for me who supports what I do, who lets me go dream, who will hold down home base while I'm out. And when she wants to go dream, we'll tag team and I'll hold home down while she does her thing. I think that is so important, and it's allowed me to do some really, really cool things. But I wish I would have appreciated that component of relationship, of support earlier on. Early on, man, I was just like, all right, you don't want to go? You at the house? Bet, I'm out. And I was just out trying to make everything happen. And I was meeting a lot of people, and I was doing a lot of things, and I was getting a lot of stuff accomplished. And, my name was out there, and I'm shaking hands. But the whole time, man, like, my relationship with my family just suffered. Yeah. And I think we find that a lot. The more you look around at athletes and actors and performers and business people and entrepreneurs, I feel like there are people like Gary Vee that's like, yo, man, like I got family and that's cool, but like I'm grinding, and I'm being very presumptuous about Gary Vee because I've only heard these little splices, right, of work 15 hours a day, work 24 hours a day, you can sleep when you're dead type things. And I think there are a lot of people that pursue business in that way. But I think if people, if they were made aware that they could get moderate success and then also maintain the infrastructure of their family, I bet more people would aspire to that.
Yeah.
If I don't have to neglect my family and relationships and my kids and miss football games and basketball games and tennis, and some people feel like they have to sacrifice that in order to gain success. On the altar of success, I lay my wife, my kids, my faith, my health, my relation. I put that on the altar so I can succeed. I think if people knew that they could have a moderate level of success and still maintain all those things, I think they would choose that. But I don't know that that's something that's being promoted. And so now I'm here to tell the world that I have become a better father, a better husband, a better friend, because I'm trying to be a little bit more intentional about where I spend my energy. And saying no is hard for people that are doers and are accomplishers, and for people who maybe attach their identity and their value based on what they do and how they do it, and being able to manage a full load and a full plate. But there are a lot of people, man, that do that, and they just sacrifice so much to get it. And then when they look back after they got it, they're celebrating by themselves, or they've missed, lives, or they've missed all these great things. And so that's a really good question, man. And I think that's something that people should ask themselves, not only others, but ask themselves often. Like, how do I balance that? Yeah. Like, is it worth it? Like this right here, is it worth it? Can I not do it and go hang out with my family and receive some sort of, not even the same joy, but is there a way for me to silo or isolate it or put it in a big pot? However people process it, is like, I have to realize I can't say the reason I'm doing this for my family and then neglect my family. That doesn't make sense when people like, I'm working these 5 jobs, for my family. And it's like, but you ain't saw your family in like 2 weeks, bro. How that make sense? Like, where that makes sense? It was a point where I was traveling. It was probably a 6-month span. Probably spent 3 weeks at home. And my wife hits me up and she's like, I feel like you're deployed. I feel like you're a deployed husband, but you're like in the States. Like you're here, but I feel like you're deployed. Like you're not physically in our space. And when you are physically in our space, you're somewhere else. And you just send checks home and expect that to be good. And I was like, oh man, that crushed my heart. So I think balance is really important.
Yeah, and sometimes it takes that experience, right, to go through something before you really grab it. And thank God, you grab it before you've lost everything or any of that. And sometimes when you do work that you really love and enjoy, sometimes it's just like anything else. Like it can become an addiction, and you got to learn how to manage that well. Even though in that blessing of being able to do stuff that we love, to manage it well. And I think sometimes not going out and getting all the toys and bells and whistles, because then you say, oh, but now I got to take care of this stuff. Yeah. Helps kind of be able to manage that a little bit better. And so in that, you love to share lists. And so and your list can look all sorts of ways. One of the ones that you do is your Sunday thoughts. Is that Sunday
Random
thoughts?
Sunday thoughts.
Random Sunday thoughts. So talk to me about lists and what has people's response been? You also have a book around lists. What is people's responses to your list? Because you get a lot of good feedback. I do. A lot of engagement around them.
I do, and they really are. Like I don't sit and I think people give me too much credit. Like they think I've been like cultivating this list over the week. I'm like, no, I literally sit down and what comes in my head at the moment and what comes out is what, and it could be anything. And in my list, it'll be like some hugs. Right. So because it's literally like as it's coming to my mind, I write it down. But I'll tell you why I started doing this. And it all goes back to this go in approach. Like I don't know if y'all have ever heard about it. There's stuff on his website about it. But when Hetty set me down and we started talking about this superhero.
Let me say this too. Like we didn't have this podcast for him to be.
We didn't. But I got to give credit where credit's due. I'm saying like if people at the end of the day, they lay down and they reflect back over the day, right? Over what they did. And one of the most powerful questions I've ever been asked is, as you lay down and reflect back over the day, what could you do to make you feel like a superhero? Like you saved the day.
Yeah.
What could you at the beginning of the day, if you were Spider-Man and it was like, I say 5 old ladies, 2 cats, like if you could sit down at the beginning of the day and create a list that would make you feel like a superhero at the end of the day, what would that list be? This is what we call our superhero list. Yeah. Let's go Win Pro superhero list. And before I launched my company, Eddie was like, what do you want this company to do? What do you want it to be? Like, if this was a superhero company, like just make a list. Yeah. And I was like, why have I not been making lists? And so not only did I start making lists, like personal lists, and there's a picture online where I challenged myself to keep every list that I made for a day, for a year. I posted that a few months ago. And I had to stand on a chair and take a picture down because it filled up the whole floor. But one of the things that
is it facebook.com/Derrick Sier?
It is. Yeah. One of the things that I challenged myself to do is make a list every day. And before I had the concept, before the concept was introduced, I think I would just kind of wake up and I'd have these floating thoughts of what I wanted to do. And I'd get halfway through the day and I'd be like, oh man, I need to do that. And so writing it down was really cool. Not only did I start writing it down, but I started sharing those lists on social media. Yeah. I started sharing those lists on social media. And people will respond all kind of crazy ways. Yeah. Like I've had inbox, people message me, call me crying, laughing, like they like cut and paste and they send, or they're like, oh my God, I've been trying to figure out a way to say number 5. And you'll see, like, if you go follow people like number 5. Legit, number 13. Like they'll come down on the list.
Do it. Yeah.
It is really cool. And so I began to hear this echo of people saying, man, this needs to be a book. Man, you should put this in a book. Man, you should put this in a book. So 2018, I compiled a bunch of my Facebook posts and I put it, I bound it and expounded on each topic. And the format is, how often do you, this is in the intro, like how often do you hear people say, stop and smell the flowers? But how many people then actually stop and smell the flowers? And then when you stop and smell the flowers, do you put your face in it? And while you're smelling the flower, your face is in the flower, how often do you notice the 2 worms in the, you know what I'm saying? Like there's levels to this practice, this habit of observing and noticing. And I think from that point on, I just began to stop on purpose and just look around me. And these lists not only became ways to be observant, but ways to be grateful as well.
For sure.
Right. At the beginning of the day, I create a list of things that I get to do, that I don't have to do them. I get to mentor. I get to speak, right? I get to write a book. I get to post on social media. I get to come to Guthrie America and do a podcast. I get to hang out with my mentors. I get to do these cool things, man. And so, but the list concept has become a part of my life. So much so, I have shoe boxes. I have 7 shoe boxes full of memories. And I started this around the time that I started creating these lists because I was like, I can't capture everything on an index card. I can't capture. Yeah. And so I just started keeping these little nuggets. And I went from one shoebox to the next to the next. And so I said all that to say, I think the people who write things down, I think the statistic is like 46% more likely to accomplish those things than if they don't, whether it's a bucket list or a day-to-day item, if you write them down. And I think there are a lot of people who say they want to do things, but they don't know how to feel like a superhero at the end of the day. And so you tell me you want to become a basketball player. Well, what are you doing during the day? How's your diet? You putting up 500 shots? You know what I'm saying? Like, what are you telling me you want to be an entrepreneur? Well, who else is doing what you do in your city? Yeah. How much are they charging? Where are they located? Is there a gap in the city where the services aren't there? Have you volunteered? Oh, I'm sorry. I went on a tangent. I just had a thought real quick. But Hetty, he said, I didn't make any money my first year of business. Hetty said, this is for entrepreneurs out there. It's for entrepreneurs. Hetty said, I want you to do everything for free and to find people to follow. Like, just carry their bags. Mm-hmm. Like, just show up and pass out index cards and pencils. Like, tell them you just want to help. Just show up. I did that for a year. Yeah. And out of that year, like, my business boomed the second year, third year, because I was just out there. I wasn't charging people. I was literally showing up and I was just serving. And the people that I was partnering with began throwing me business. Like, oh man, I can't do this. Do you want to do this? But again, that goes back to being mentored. It goes back to lists. It goes back to plans. It goes back to all that cool stuff. So
one of the best things.
That was a rant.
No, that was all good. I'm sitting here just taking it all in. And hopefully people take it in and actually make it applicable.
Yeah.
But one of the things about being a coach, which I think more and more I look at myself as this person who gets to coach people who I see have talent that like I only wish. And Derrick's one of those people like, man, this guy has so much talent and bandwidth. How do I give him just a few of the nuggets to take and go to a whole nother level that I can never go? And as a coach or somebody who sees somebody that does that and watch them take off. For example, Derrick and I've had many moments like this. So we tell stories. I was the MC. And so we tell stories in an event I got this opportunity to be a part of. I was the MC. And Derrick comes along, and I'm like, Derrick's going to MC the event. And I remember the first few months of Derrick MC, like I got to coach him, but then he took off, and I think people forgot that I ever MC'd We Tell Stories. You know what I'm saying? And so that's what. So listening to you, like that just came to me. It's like that's the opportunity to coach.
Yeah,
and see the talents in people, and I love being able to see the talent. Not only seeing the talents in people, and then being able to connect them. You know, like man, okay, there's a talent there. There's a talent there. Let me connect these two. And that coaches do that too, right?
Yeah,
they put teams together.
They do,
and then they coach the teams. And so, no, man, I'm just listening, just trying not to.
And I had never emceed the event before. I was chilling in the cut. I was chilling. I was just trying to be by myself, had some coffee. I was just chilling. He asked me if I did poetry. I did poetry. I got up there and just kind of working with the crowd, just kind of. And he was like, "Yo, man, you ever thought about?" And then I'm just literally getting up there, introducing the next person. He was like, no, man, like you gotta transition. You know what I'm saying? You gotta tie what that person did into the person that's coming up. You gotta shout people out. Like he's just really like giving me this vibe. 3-4 months in, man. He was killing it. It was fun. And we did that for 7 years.
Yeah.
8 years.
It was crazy.
It was.
Some of the funnest times ever. And so in that though, I think all of this goes around this whole idea of talking about We Tell Stories.
Yeah.
The thing that we believe, I think you believe in this as well, is the power of storytelling. Yeah. And getting people to tell their stories, because when we do that, we connect. So the first time you and I ever talked, it's like, hey, tell me your story. Who are you? What you do? Man, I was, working, were you at Chesapeake at the time? Yep. And, and so talk to me about the power of storytelling and just your journey in that.
Yeah. I also want to shout out Tuesday nights in March.
Yes.
Yeah, we have storytelling
Clubhouse.
On Clubhouse.
7 p.m. 7:03. Do we put it at 7:03 or is it 7 p.m.? It's probably just
7 p.m.
It should have been 7:03.
Should have been 7. He'll always be doing these weird times. 7:22.
Yeah.
7 to 8. 7 to 8.
7 to 8 on Clubhouse. Actually, we have created a room called We Tell Stories. So come be a part of that room in Clubhouse.
Come kick it. But one of the things that we talk about on this Clubhouse concept is, or the Clubhouse room is, why storytelling works. Why is it so powerful, so impactful? And I could go back to the beginning of time and see how history, how faith is captured, and it's all through stories. People are more likely to remember stories than dates or numbers, or right. They just remember the stories. You got to think about nursery rhymes, our stories, movies, our stories, songs, our stories. It's this concept of storytelling, and one of the reasons I believe it is so impactful is because I can put myself in a story. I can put even if it's a 12-foot avatar, I can put myself in being the outcast and not looking like everybody else, and maybe having these superpowers that are really cool, right? I can put myself in Spider-Man's shoes, right? Like I'm this normal kid that has this idea of like saving the world, and I'll save the world through this entrepreneurial idea or this concept, right? I can put myself in a story, and when I put myself in a story, it allows me to either enhance where I am or leave where I am. This is why people love books. This is why they love movies. This is why they love music. This is why they love theater and cinema. For 2 hours, for 3 hours, or 3.5 minutes in a song, I get to leave where I am and put myself in a different place. Or I get to learn how to enhance where I am. This is why storytelling is so good. Storytelling, they take something that is Z and they tie it to A, and you see the whole alphabet. Yeah. Right. This is what we do when we do experiential activities, when we do interactive learning. We start out with a game, and the more you play the game, the more these concepts unfold. And so we use games to deliver leadership components. Right. It's the same thing with storytelling. If I could start with a guy on an island, right, by himself with a volleyball named Wilson. And from that 2.5 hour movie of just him being in there, I could talk about perseverance and integrity and tenacity and survival and being resourceful. Like, all those things came out of a guy being stranded on an island. Storytelling, I think, is the thread that ties together culture, ethnicity, time, race, countries. Like, it just ties it through. And I don't know that anybody in the world has not been impacted by a really good story.
Yeah, for sure. And living out a really good story.
And you get to write it.
Yeah, you get to write it.
You get to write your own. You literally have the pen every single day. You stretch, and you start literally writing. Because it was weird. I was watching this. I don't know what it was, but it was a guy who got up. And the narrator was narrating everything that he did.
Wow.
And Justin reaches over to the toothbrush and he picks up. And then Justin kind of hear the guy. And then he was like, and Justin sticks the toothbrush in his mouth. Right. Like, it was like he was. And the whole point was, you are writing it.
Yeah.
I'm just reading it, right?
Yeah.
I'm on the side.
Good.
I'm reading your life, but you were writing it. And if you don't want me to read it, or if you got a story that you don't like, then change the narrative.
Yeah.
We have the ability to change the narrative.
To make your list.
Man, come on, man.
To make your list. So, yeah. And that's when the superhero list is so superhero list is so powerful, because really what you're asking yourself is like, what would my story look like if I was able to be the superhero? You know, and I think sometimes it's not about catching the woman falling from the tallest building.
Right.
But it's about what are those things that you're going to show up and do every day in order to move towards the cup.
Yeah.
Or move towards the finish line.
Yeah.
You know, and some finish lines you never cross.
Right.
I talk about, like, in a marriage, we want to have a healthy marriage. There's some right things we need to be consistent in to have that. There's really no finish line to cross.
Right.
Now, you can put some things in there to say, okay, we crossed that.
Yeah, but you never arrive.
You never arrive at it. You just keep doing these things every day. You keep doing these things quarterly, going on spa retreats or whatever. That's the story, and that's what makes it awesome. So.
And I think it's very important for people to know that your list is your list.
Yeah.
Right? I think oftentimes we get caught up trying to list someone else's list.
Sure.
And that is the ultimate way to be disappointed, to identify failure, is because you're trying to live out a list that's not your list.
What happens is you stop living.
Yeah.
Because you like, man, I can never do that, so I'm not.
I can't do that.
I can never write a book. You've written 3, so I'd be like, man, let me just stop. Versus saying, okay, let me just do my story.
Right.
Let me just create whatever my abilities are and really begin to hone in on things that I feel like are most passionate to me.
You know, the superheroes, man, they didn't, when they became aware of their superhero powers, they didn't jump to the end. They didn't, like, Superman, very first thing wasn't standing in front of a train.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, his powers unfolded. Right, it was like he just noticed that he wasn't getting sick. Yeah. You know, and he noticed he could, like, catch stuff or throw things. Or, like, it was just unfolded. Yeah. And so when we're writing these superhero lists, I think it's very on purpose. We have to be intentional to mitigate. Maybe that's not the word. Just kind of manage the list that we create. Right, because if we create lists that are too audacious, it was the same that says something about, like, if it's too hard, you won't do it. If it's too easy, you won't do it. It's something in the middle that keeps you doing it until the next one. And I think it's very important, right? If you tie your shoes on your list, you won't even mark it off because you just do it, right? You don't even think to do it. Yeah. But if you make a tennis shoe, then it's like, well, dang, I can't do that today, right? So maybe it's look at 5 shoes that I like online. Yeah, maybe that's a better. Yeah. And so I think that, and for those of you that are interested in this list living concept, you don't have to do it on your own. He has go-in circles. He has small groups for entrepreneurs that are trying to figure out this go-in approach. Yeah. Like, just go to the website. There are ways to figure out. He gives out free resources, all those cool things, but he also does coaching. And so if you're trying to figure out this whole list concept, this go-in approach, I think it's very notable to at least go check out the website.
Yeah. No, let's do it. Personal growth. You know, we talking about our stories. A lot of it is personal growth. Just touch a little bit on what that looks like for you, and maybe just how you would encourage people to really take that journey.
Yeah, man, growth I think is so subjective. Right. So what looks like growth for me, definitely may not be growth for someone else. But I think growth starts with a healthy self-awareness of knowing where you are compared to versus where you want to go, where you want to be.
Can I put a stick there or pin or self-awareness? Like, is there any tips that how have you become more self-aware? What are some things that you did to help you in that area? Because that's challenging. Like, even when I think about self-awareness, like for myself, like, what are some things that you're doing to help you in those areas?
Yeah. So one of the things that I've done, and I've done time and time again, even as I facilitate an experience like that, is I write down a list, going back to this list, of who am I? Like, good, bad, indifferent. How would I describe myself? How would people describe me? I just create this big old splotch of Derrick, right? Derrick is someone who loves to eat, but hates to exercise, right? So when I think about personal growth and wanting to arrive at a certain health level or a certain body size, then I have to be self-aware enough to know those two things. So I would say the very first step of being self-aware is just creating a list, just on a sheet of paper. How would you describe yourself? Physically, emotionally, spiritually, financially? How good are you with money? Do you love to eat out? How much money do you waste? Do you say you want to buy a house? Well, are you saving? I think there's some areas where you can just write down, describe yourself. The next level is, I would say, have other people, right, describe you as well or add to your list. Now, this is a very sensitive area because you can't be fragile and ask people for the truth. Or maybe you can, but it's like, just know that when you tell people, when you preface this question with be brutally honest, just know that you're going to have some people that be like, yo.
Yeah, there's some brutally honest people.
Yeah, like I can tell you brush your teeth after you get to work. Like I can tell. You know what I'm saying? Like there's going to be some people that just give it to you. So one, you got to reflect on yourself, be honest with yourself. And then the next one is have other people who you trust chime in on that as well.
Gotcha.
And I'll say this really briefly. When you're talking about being honest with yourself, it's easy to put up a mask in front for everybody else, but the worst lie you could ever tell is to yourself. That's the worst lie that you can ever tell is to yourself. You can lie to other people, you can fool other people, you can trick other people, but when you start telling lies to yourself, right? I think that is one that then can easily in turn become truth. Yeah. Right. And if you start believing the faults about yourself, then I think that goes into some other personality traits or some other bad habits that we want to step away from. So we're talking about personal growth. Yeah. You got to first start with self-awareness, right? Who am I now? Where am I at versus where do I want to be? Who do I want to become? And then you got to look at the steps in between there. So for me, growth, part of my physical journey is also this word for the year is jump. Right. And so in April, I'll be doing a jumping jack challenge. Right. I want to do 500 jumping jacks a day. I want to jump. In May, I'll be doing jump squats. Like I had these jump goals. Right. One primarily is because in July for my birthday, I want to jump out of a plane. Right. So that's one of my goals. So in order to jump out of a plane and arrive safely on the ground, I have to be a certain weight.
Do you really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. What is the weight?
220.
Really?
You gotta be 220 to do a tandem jump with somebody else like strapped to my back.
Wow.
And I'm not there, folks. I'm not there. And so I got some things that I want to do. Right. I got to jump away from. I'm a savory guy. I'm not a sweet guy. I got to jump away from the savories. Listen, I don't know how many of you you don't want to break a 20 because if you break a 20, the 20 is gone. I'm the same way with a bag of chips. If I break that seal on the bag of chips, it's a wrap, bro.
Listen,
it is a wrap.
I'm an abstainer. They talk about abstainers and people, moderators, or whatever. If I was doing good up until maybe 3 weeks ago, I decided that I was going to celebrate a birthday.
Birthday's
been done, bro.
He said that was 3 weeks ago.
I've been trying to start over.
Self-awareness. You ain't lying to yourself. You know exactly what happened. You can pinpoint the day.
Oh man, it's been So personal
growth, it starts with self-assessment the second step is where am I now versus where I want to go? Who do I want to be? Third step is making those sizable steps, making those sizable goals to get there. And we have several ways to talk about goal setting. I mean, you got the SMART goals, you got BEAM goals, you got what's the Covey brothers, urgent versus necessary, or the quadrant. I mean, there's several ways to do goals. One of the things that I'm gonna stop gassing Hedy up, but I'm telling you, he has the different lists, right? So he has how can I feel like a superhero today, this week, this month, this year? Like those are all different lists, and if you are able to break those things down into those different lists, then you'll see yourself checking them off simultaneously. I want to do this in a year by doing it in a day, in a week, in a month. I've checked the year off, right? And so I think there's just some different ways when we talk about personal growth.
You can start navigating that.
Yes.
That's good, man.
For me, it's about first, self-aware. Second, where am I now versus where do I want to go? Who do I want to be? Third, what are some sizable steps to get there?
Got you. That's great, man. That's great. How are you winning right now?
Man, so I'll go back. I think we kind of briefly skipped over this. It's the Leadership Summit. One of my biggest wins is this introduction to the world, this paradigm shift, minority empowerment, where we create leadership concepts specifically for students, college students that are Black and brown. We want to make sure that we get this information out. So on April 8th, April 9th, and April 10th, that's a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, we will be doing a leadership summit for college students. It's called the Black Collegiate Leadership Summit, hosted by Paradigm Shift, and it's Minority Empowerment Initiative. If you are a college student and you want to attend, a Black college student that you want to attend specifically, reach out to me, reach out to Hedy, message me. I'm sure we'll tag some social media type stuff in here. Sign up ASAP. We still have room. In fact, I'm just go ahead and say we ain't gonna turn nobody away. I'm just be confident and just say that. I don't know if I can say that, but you reference the podcast and I'll get you in.
Come on.
6 months ago when I reached out to Jerry Mayer, I was like, man, I just want to do something for Black students, man. I just want to do it. And he was like, well, let's go. And so we have over 25 Black professionals in the fields of
that list is crazy.
Of STEM, health and wellness, arts and athletics, government, and business and entrepreneurial. Over those 5 areas, we have over 25 Black professionals coming in. We got 4 keynotes, lunch and learn. We have a business panel. We're going to have some breakout sessions as well as PS swag. We have a Ton Thomas, who is from Tulsa, Oklahoma, basketball player, played for the Thunder, played for the Wizards. He's going to be one of our keynote speakers. I'll be a keynote speaker. We have Nisi Walker out of Las Vegas, who's going to be another keynote speaker, talking about our 3 concepts are going to be confidence, connection, and capacity. So we want to make sure we build you up, connect you to other Black professionals, and then increase your capacity to become whoever you want to become. Man, it's really going to be good.
Bro.
Black Collegiate Leadership Summit, April 8th through the 10th, 2021. Hit me up for some info. We want to make sure you get involved.
Hit us up. I'm excited about that. What's your encouraging word for those who are listening?
Yeah.
Give them an encouraging word.
Encouraging word. Here we go. My dad, he 2 years ago, on March 11th, passed away. My dad did. And one of the things that he used to always tell me is there's absolutely nothing you can do that will make me stop loving you. So go ahead and forgive yourself. I've already forgiven you. Go ahead and forgive yourself. I think there are a lot of people out there that let their faults kind of get in the way of who they're meant to be and who they could become. And one of the reasons that I'm back on this path, I just took this huge sabbatical, over 2 years from social media. And I just had this really tender moment with my guy, Hedy. And, sometimes Hedy can be real tender. Other times he's just real like, bro, that's stupid. Like, and I was talking to him about, I was just on this huge guilt trip, and he was like, bro, you being mad selfish right now.
Mad selfish.
You being so selfish right now. Get back on social media.
The world needs you. Yeah.
You being so selfish. Like, get out of the little.
Hey, he comes back and like 5,000 people like his post.
And I'm out here in these streets. I'm in these streets. And so what I will say, man, is like, whatever you've done, man, and we could talk about the gambit, right? Whatever you've done, And while people may look at you a certain way, while society may look at you a certain way, our government judicial system may look at you a certain way, I think the most important step toward getting back to your purpose and your passion is forgiving yourself. Yeah. Right? A lot of times it's not the world, it's not the man, it's not people preventing us from doing something. It's ourselves. I did this Man Up event this past weekend. It's a mentorship retreat hosted by Oklahoma City Police Department, which is doing some phenomenal work in the community. Oklahoma City Police Department snaps out to you guys for all the work that you're doing in our community. They host this retreat. And one of the things that we did is that we lined up a group of men, and we had our mentees look down that line. And while oftentimes they look down that line and they see all these different people who are standing in their way to getting somewhere, in actuality, all those different people are representations of ourselves. And oftentimes we sabotage ourselves from getting from where we are to where we want to be. We are the version that lies and don't tell the truth. We are the version who overeats and indulges. We're the person that doesn't get up on time. We're the person that doesn't keep our word and our promise. We're those people that are keeping ourselves from going to where we want to be and becoming who we want to become. So my encouraging word for you today, through my experience, through my time with mentorship, having a good friend like Hetty, is the first step toward becoming is forgiving yourself. And that is so important.
Ladies and gentlemen, get out there, forgive yourself, tell your story.
Whew.
So much goodness. Thank you so much, Derrick.
Thanks for having me.
People appreciate you. One more time, is there a website or anything? Just reach out to us.
You can go to, you talking about for the Black Collegiate Leadership Summit? Yep. You can go to Paradigm Shift Leadership, ParadigmShiftLeadership.com. You can go to Black Collegiate Leadership Summit. It'll be there. You can also go to Paradigm Shift Leadership on Instagram, Paradigm Shift Leadership on Facebook. All the information is there. You'll find the links on the Black Collegiate Leadership Summit information.
You can find the links in the description of this podcast.
Bet.
Man, thank you again. Love you. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, go win.